So welcome everyone again. My name is 𝗘𝗂𝗹𝗶𝗁 and I am from the 𝗬𝗏𝘂 Research Institute, and you are participating in the second webinar of the 𝗬𝗏𝘁𝗏𝗏 project. And yes, I would like to call the key speakers back on screen. So thank you. So this is the second time we organize this webinar, and before I open the floor for the key speakers, I would like to say a few words about the project, about the aim of the webinar, and provide a very short overview of what kind of policy framework are in action in the interest of the STEAM education and gender equality. We are recording this webinar, and we will publish the recording on our website, on the 𝗬𝗏𝘁𝗏𝗏 project website, and we will send you a follow-up email after the webinar with all the presentation, the recording. The participants have the opportunity to ask questions under the Q&A section, or you can, of course, enter your questions or insights under the chat function as well. And by the end of the webinar, because this is a lesson learned from the previous webinar, that we will have time to answer your questions and remarks. So let me just share my presentation. Okay, so this webinar is dedicated to learn about the state of art of gender equality in STEAM Europe. So we invited researchers and policy officers here who are presenting what we should know or what we can know about the state of art of gender equality in STEAM in Europe. So our first distinguished guest is 𝗂𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏 from the DG RTD of the European Commission, and we asked her to present the last key findings from the latest SHE figures. And of course, I think what we are the most interested in is how the trends are going on in terms of gender equality in STEM fields. And then we will have 𝗘𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 from the Babeș-Bolyai University, and 𝗘𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is going to present on the 𝗬𝗏𝘁𝗏𝗏 project results, because we conducted a qualitative based study within the project. And then I really would like to welcome Martina Longo and 𝗬𝗏𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏. Sorry for mispronouncing your names. They are representing the Women in Digital, and we will learn the latest insights, findings from the Women in Digital survey, and we will receive an overview of what we should know about women places in the ICT field. I would like to ask all the key presenters to say a few words about yourself before presenting your presentation. And now, about the 𝗬𝗏𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏 project. So this project is a Horizon Support and Action project. And what we are doing is this project that we are promoting the STEAM education, while we are still thinking of what this the art mean in STEAM education. And we are closely working on that how we can achieve an inclusive STEAM education. So not only we are working on what is STEAM, approaches STEAM education, but we are also focusing that the STEAM education should be a gender inclusive, gender and diversity inclusive STEAM education. This is a project involving 20 partners and one affiliated partner. And the partners have really different roles in the project, as we are having a couple of activities in this project. But the main activities are that we are piloting different educational activities in different different educational settings. We have a talent nurturing program. We are just starting to implement in 14 countries for teenage girls. We are experimenting on how the activities, the hands-on activities can can make more gender sensitive in science centers and museum. And we are a mentoring program, which is just starting to be launched in 10 countries. All information are available on our website. We have conducted also research, which is like providing the base, the preliminary input for implementing the educational activities, and for the policy recommendation we are producing by the end of the project. And this webinar series is also serving the interest of this policy, of making the policy recommendations. We are constantly collecting best practices, and we are featuring the collected best practices, which are also available on the project website. And we are also working on connecting those who are actively involved in STEM education, or providers, as institutions, schools are the providers of STEM education. For this aim, we created a platform which is within the project website, and it's called Virtual Makerspace. And here we are publishing all kind of resources. We are still collecting them, and we are presenting information on events which are STEM-related events, so upcoming events. And the Virtual Makerspace is also the landing page of the National Inspiration Hubs. These National Inspiration Hubs are running in 14 countries, and these are hubs providing webinars on local languages and all kind of resources. We are working on sharing all kind of relevant resources those who join the hubs should know about, and everything is of course related to STEM education and gender equality. So this was very briefly the activities and the objectives of the STREAM-IT project. And let me just quickly share what we are doing here today and during this period of the year and the first period of the next year. So we are organizing this webinar series because we are collecting insights for a roadmap we are producing by the end of the project, which is going to be called European Roadmap for supporting the implementation of the European Manifesto for Gender Inclusive STEAM Education and Careers. And so this is the second time in this year, and we have specific thematics for each of the webinars. And within each of the webinars, we are inviting experts, researchers, project coordinators to share what could be relevant information for our webinars. The first 3 webinars is more using this really like old tradition way of webinar style. And during the next year, we are also organizing webinars, but they are going to be more like workshop style of webinars. So they are going to be more open. And the reason for this, because based on the first webinar, we would like to already create some sort of draft policy recommendation, and then we would like to work together with other stakeholders on this policy recommendation. So not only validating, but working together with them. We already have the first webinar, so this is the second, as mentioned a couple of times. The next webinar, we will organize it on the 6th of November, and it's going to be specifically dedicated to the higher education level in STEAM education. And we would like to share good practices, experiences, how STEM education can be achieved on gender equality and inclusivity terms, on the base of these terms. In our follow-up emails or by the end of this presentation, you will see that we are providing information how to join the third webinar. And then I would like to just to give a very brief framework for the STEAM equality, but maybe you will also talk about it. So in overall, what we should know about the gender equality and STEM education, that this is a serious concern of the European Commission, and there are several policy framework which are already done and communicated. So I would like to start, which is not specifically about the STEAM education and gender equality, but I would like to start at the roadmap for women's rights. It was published, it was announced this year in May, if I remember, on the 7th of May. So this is available, and it includes a very broad framework how to work towards achieving women's rights in a greater, let's say, in a greater level. And there are certain guiding principles. And as you can see, out of the 8 guiding principles, 4 is really like related with our STREAM-IT projects. So this is something we should work with. And then another very relevant policy framework we should rely on is the Union of Skills strategy, which was also published in this year in March. So this strategy contains 4 key components, and one component, it's copied here. It's about building skills for quality lives and jobs. And as you see, it is detailed, and the details about improving skills in STEM fields, and especially it is highlighted that these STEM fields and careers has to attract more women to prepare everyone working in STEM education and in STEM fields for the 21st century requirement of the workplaces. Within the skills of strategy, there is the STEM education strategic plan, which is especially dealing with these components, which is about improving women presence in STEM education and careers. And there are even target numbers which is suggested to reach. And as you can see, different fields. So the target numbers are about improving women presence in the different subfields of STEM education. And then other framework I would like to talk about, which is more talking about that what was the the starting point for our project, is that we, so when we were developing the project, we had to rely on the so-called on the roadmap, which is titled European Manifesto for Gender Inclusive STEAM Education and Careers. And this document is really like strongly relying on the European strategy for universities, in which strategy it is already stated that women participation again in STEM studies careers has to be strengthened, and there is an emphasis that there should be put an emphasis on the STEAM integration into education, which is about finding out how we can move from STEM education to STEAM education, and it also calls for a manifesto on gender inclusive STEAM education. As we learned, this manifesto is not ready, so there was an intention to working on, and this is our project is doing within creating our own roadmap, that we are going to create a draft manifesto, which we will like offer into the hands of the European Commission that can be used after the project ends. And then finally, I would like to share that I participated last week on a workshop which was organized by the DG Research and Innovation, specifically by the LTD gender sector. Jade was present there, so if you don't mind, I would like to share my insight, because I think this is really relevant for this webinar. So this was a workshop like involved, I think, around 30 project coordinators, researchers, all related to gender equality issues. And within this project, there were a couple of projects related to STEM education. So what I brought home from this workshop is that the gender equality in STEM, this is really a well-studied field, but still there are certain points which are rather unknown, which is, for example, that so we, for instance, know that there are inequalities, there are differences visible in STEM education in terms of gender equality, but we still don't know enough about how these differences and equalities are made, specifically like at the institutions what are providing the STEM education. Also, I learned, or I was like strengthened in my belief that there are less focus on assessing what works in STEAM education, because I heard that there are, by this time, there are 4 STEM-related projects already established or are currently running. So there are lots of best practices, there are lots of good initiatives, but we still need to focus on assessing how they works in action. And so it was expressed that still there is a need for studying how women and why women enter into the STEM fields. And this is important because if we learn that why they are entering into STEM, of course, we heard a couple of examples why women are interested in pursuing a STEM career. But if we know better their needs, the institution will be better, will be able to better answer to these needs, so they will inherently better welcoming women in STEM education and careers. Yes, and this, so I think this is really in our interest. So it was said that already 400 STEM-related projects are existing, but what we see is that the statistics are not changing, or not changing as quickly as we would like them to change. So this is my like message to you, to the key speakers, so that this is still a relevant topic, and we are very much looking forward to your presentation. Let me just tell again that the agenda is, so first Jade, then Reka, and then Martina and 𝗬𝗲. So this is going to be 3 presentations. And then by the end of the presentations, we will facilitate a roundtable kind of discussion with the key speakers. And I will make sure that we will answer to the questions we receive under the Q&A questions as well. So this is my pleasure to hand over the right for presenting to Jade 𝗬𝗲.
Good morning, everyone. So thank you so much already, Katalin. In the same time, I'm going to multitask and share my screen while I'm presenting myself. So good morning, everyone. I am Jade. I'm working for the European Commission, especially in the gender sector in DG Research and Innovation. Are you seeing my screen as presentation mode or not? So,
yes, it looks fine right now. It's the presentation mode. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So why I'm here today, and I'm very happy to be here. So thank you so much already, because 𝗏𝗏 project invited me to share about like something in particular that we are carrying in the gender sector, that is the She Figures report. So today I will navigate you through key findings, and I will tell you a bit more about what this report means and how it was built. So in particular, just to give you an overview of what is She Figures, it's a publication that we first released 20 years ago, and it's being released every 3 years. And the point is really to follow the chronological journey of women in R&I. So we are trying to track every key stage of their career progress. So it starts with the pool of graduates, but then we go more into like how the work-life balance, for example, so career development are being tracked, and also we go until the maximum seniority level, so in a career. So I will like try to develop that a bit more through the next slide, so explaining you what are the key findings by chapter. But what I really would like you to grasp is the fact that today this report for us is the main source of pan-European statistics on gender equality in R&I. Why? Because we are not only tracking a member state, we are also tracking other countries in this report. We are trying to cover more than 80 indicators. Those data sources are mainly relying on Eurostat, but we are also having a Women in Science questionnaire. So we have statistical correspondent in each country, and we have web scraping technique. And also we rely on Scopus in particular to assess the gender dimension in research content. So there is a lot of data source, and we try to basically, based on all of that, make a comprehensive document where at hand you can find all of the data that are relevant in the journey of a woman in R&I. So what does it entail exactly? It's not only one report. It's actually, there is the main report of 𝗁𝗲𝗂𝗏. There is also 4 policy reports that are produced by experts. Those reports in particular for the latest 𝗁𝗲𝗂𝗏 2024 that we published in February last February, so at the occasion of the International Day for Women and Girls in Science. So in particular in this one you have 4 policy briefs. One is on 𝗫𝗄𝗃, so Gender Equality Plan in Research Organization and Higher Education as a catalyst for transformative and sustainable change. You have another one on data collection and analysis for inclusive gender equality plans, intersectional challenges and solutions for research innovation organization. Another one is on promoting inclusive gendered innovation through academic spin-off. And the last one is on women participation in research team and uptake of discovery and innovation and policy. Then you have one handbook. So the handbook is really to how to navigate through the data. So it will explain to you the methodology that was used for developing this report. And then you have something that might be really relevant for you. It's the fact that we are doing country fishes. They are mainly for each member state, so they highlight key results. And the point is really to design them for European citizens to understand and access information on their countries. So there is also a recommendation in it, and they are very short formats, so I will definitely invite you to check them. And then, of course, we have a nice infographic, so to embody visually what statistics are behind the 𝗁𝗲𝗂𝗏. Just for you, if you are like, I would say, amateur of data and you would like directly to dig in 𝗁𝗲𝗂𝗏, I would like to stress that we have an interactive data tool, which means that you can directly extract all the data that are gathered in 𝗁𝗲𝗂𝗏, and you can also directly navigate through an interactive mode map to have more results on countries specifically. What I would like also to say is that with each 𝗁𝗲𝗂𝗏 report, we are trying to bring something new. And this year, what is new is the 𝗁𝗲𝗂𝗏 index. So what is it exactly? It's a holistic tool that was developed to measure the extent to which member states have achieved gender equality in the European research area. So why we are doing that in particular, it's because in DG RTD, so in research innovation, we also work on the policy developed under the European research area. And we use also RISE in Europe to develop this policy. So for us, having this type of holistic tool is really helpful because we can see where countries have their strengths and where like they have also maybe lower scores on some thematic that we are checking. So basically, it's run around on 20 of the 𝗁𝗲𝗂𝗏 indicators. And it goes across 6 dimensions. So far, you can see that Belgium ranks quite high. Overall, it ranks 19 not 19, 69 in the world scores among the member states. But when you check at the breakdown, let's say, you can see that, for example, in terms of decision making, Belgium is the 3rd. Because they have like maybe a highest percentage of women participating in decision making in academia and in research organization. So this is really to try to break down a bit more all the indicators and to see what are the strengths of the country and where are the areas where we could have like more progress eventually. So now I will really navigate you through key findings, and I hope you will find it interesting. I would like to stress that, unfortunately, those findings are really related on women in STEM. So we don't have STEAM integrated. We break down per different disciplines. So I just would like to clarify that. So we are like on the same page for the next the next findings. So regarding the pool of graduate talents, we can see that, for example, women are more likely to complete their bachelor studies than men, and this goes across all fields that are being studied. Still, we see, of course, as you are very well aware, and Katalin just reminded it before, that there is still a gender gap persisting in various fields. And those fields, for example, is that we can see that women represent most doctoral graduates in education with almost 70%, where on the opposite, we see that there are women underrepresented under information and communication technology field or engineering and manufacturing and construction. Still, what I would like to draw your attention on is the fact that we can see, like you will see in green, there is some minimal improvement that are observed since the last SHE figures that was based on data from 2018. And there is already, unfortunately, a decline that we can see in some fields. So we can see that this decline can go to 3 to 4 percentage points in half of the narrow STEM field. And this is where, like, I would really like to draw your attention, because it means that there is definitely even more to do, because there is indeed like a decline on some fields. And those fields are, for example, environment, physical science, mathematics and statistics, and architecture and construction. Overall, it's clear that there is like a consistent stagnation and decline. So this is why we need to do more. In the chapter 3, we can see for the participation in science and technology occupation that, for example, women are less likely than men to work as scientists and engineers. So, for example, we compare that there is 41% compared to 59%. We can see that women born outside of the EU are even less likely to be employed in this field. And of course, we can see also that the proportion of self-employed professional in science, engineering, and ICT is nearly 25%. We see some very positive result in some countries, like there is higher share, like in Norway, as you can see, 42, or Cyprus 42 as well. But we see still like some country where this number is even lower. And this is, for example, like the case in UK, Poland, and Sweden, as you can see in the graph on the side. So that's also something that we calculate through the SHE figures. And then for chapter 4, we go more on the labor market participation as researcher. There we see that the overall population, let's say, of researchers that are women are only 34%. And then we see again this gender segregation that persists across the main sector of the economy. So again, like here, like this time, we can see that women remain mainly underrepresented in the business economic sector with 22%. Also, in this chapter, we start already to check about like the senior research position, and indeed there is evidence that the higher proportion of men is in the 55 years old plus age group across all countries, and that's something we also did. So conversely, like women are more represented in the younger age group, particularly under 35 and 35 to 44. And this has been deducted also in the policy report as highlighting persistent social barriers, in particular the lack of flexible work policies and unequal caregiving responsibilities. That I will be happy also if you want to talk more about that later on. Working condition of researchers, so chapter 5. So here again we are checking the fact that we can see that women researchers employed part-time in the higher education exceed men by far, so 20% for women and 15% of men researchers. Also, something interesting to know is that there is no difference so far being studied on the proportion between men and women researchers in precarious employment. And then we also check some bibliometric data that suggests that women are far less likely to be internationally mobile during their careers, or if they do so, there is still a strong gender differences in the relation to the length of the stay. Also, something that you could be interested about is the fact that we talk about gender overall earning gaps, and that's 10 at 20%, 22%, which suggests that there is persistent gap in favor of men in scientific research and development in activities. Again, so I will there is still 2 chapters, so I will go very quickly to let also the time to the other speaker today to present their findings. But when we talk about career advancement and participation in decision making, here, we see that women remain underrepresented in grade A position, so meaning full-time professorship position or directing a research. With again a breakdown in segregation among the fields, and we can see also that in particular for science and engineering and technology, they are comprised between 24% and 99%. Also in 2022 at the EU level, we can see that, for example, the head of universities are only 22%. We see that there is more women being elected rector of university, but this is still largely underrepresented, and that's something that 𝗁𝗍 also tracked. For the research innovation output, this is also quite interesting. In particular, I would like to stress your attention on the fact that there is only 2% of publication that incorporates sex and gender analysis in research innovation content across Europe. This is something that we are observing through 𝗘𝗂𝗶𝘁 database, and we can see that it's increasingly even lower when it comes to engineering and technology, where we can see that it's 0.3%. Also, I would like to say that when it comes to innovation, so women applying for patents, there is a stagnated number that is 9% of innovator, and that haven't changed in a decade. Worldwide, it's 13%, but that's also something very concerning, and that we are also working on our side. And then I will quickly go to what's next for 𝗁𝗍𝗪𝗍. We are already preparing 𝗁𝗍𝗪𝗍 2027. At the moment, we expect the signatures of the contract with the future tenderer by the end of this year. In this tender, we really focus on intersectionality. We would like to see data showcasing more those aspects. We are also asking to develop, for example, a new indicator, and for this we are waiting to see what will be the proposal from the contractor. And of course, efforts are also underway to have better statistics on innovation. So to know more, for example, about women in venture capital and so on. And also, last but not least, we are renewing an attempt to have an indicator based on EU gender-based violence survey by Eurostat, by the European Institute for Gender Equality and the Fundamental Rights Agency. So we are trying to assess with them if this could be feasible, because so far there were some lack of data that was not making this possible. But this could be a part of the next 𝗁𝗍𝗪𝗍. I will add you all of the data here. All of the links that you might find relevant. I guess the presentation will be shared with you afterwards. And please do not hesitate to join our mailing list. So we have this mailing list where we try to pass on information about policy development, funding opportunities, upcoming events. We try to gather also announcements from our EU-funded project that we follow on gender equality. And of course, if you have any questions, please address them to our functional mailbox, and we'll be happy to answer. So thank you so much.
Thank you for your presentation. You already have one question, but we will give the floor for the questions by the end of all the presentation. I think we received a lot to digest from you. So let's turn into another type of research, which is going to be shared by 𝗂𝗏𝗪𝗁, and it's going to be about qualitative-based findings conducted with a qualitative-based research.
Well, thank you for passing me the floor. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation to all our panelists. Since I'm really not good at multitasking, I already shared my presentation. Hopefully you can all see it in presentation mode. Before starting, let me introduce myself. I'm 𝗂𝗏𝗪𝗁. I'm representing Babeș-Bolyai University from Cluj, Romania. I'm a sociologist. My field of expertise or field of research focuses or deals with women and gender inequality in labor, in the world of work in general. So not only paid work, but also unpaid work. I'm carrying out studies on women in entrepreneurship, or recently I've become interested with several of my colleagues in the social construction of motherhood. This is my first project dealing with the inequalities in science, the gender inequalities in the scientific field, and it was really a great journey, but also a challenging one. From which I will try to just give you a snapshot, because obviously 10 minutes are not enough to delve really deeply into what we found on our field or based on our field work. Very shortly, I will start speaking about the aim of the study, then it will follow. This is the classical structure of a scientific presentation, the main topics covered, findings, and some conclusions and recommendations. As Katalin already highlighted it, this study, this multi-level study, was carried out within our 𝗬𝗏 project in order to provide an empirical fundament. So for a project which aims to make changes, to come up with programs and interventions, it is crucial to know the state of the art. So what is it important to know in relation to women in STEM? Basically, for that, we had a study which was formed of many pillars. The one in italics is the one that I'm going to speak about in this presentation, but we also carried out an extensive literature review to map and to explore the existing sociological knowledge about or regarding women in STEAM. We mapped all the recent and still ongoing as of 2024, ongoing projects on local, national, and European levels. All those projects that tried to tackle somehow the underrepresentation of women. For that, we carried out desk research and expert interviews. The very segment I'm focusing in this presentation is a qualitative study on the experiences of female students across Europe, for which we carried out semi-structured interviews. And last but not least, we carried out expert interviews with educators, teachers, and educational experts. I realize that this slide is not for you to really delve deeply into. I can reshare it if someone has a question with it. This is just to show you that obviously this is in our work, in which we covered 16 countries, and we included the impressive number of 97 interviewees, which is really rare for a qualitative study. We applied the convenience sampling in order to make sure that there is a thematic representativity, which means that we made sure that as many countries as possible are included, as many fields of within the STEAM field, the STEAM domain are included, and female students from all the from all three levels of study are represented within the sample. We did our best to come up with an as balanced sample as possible. Of course, these were so just for you to have an idea of how we proceeded. There was a standardized interview guideline, which, speaking of a semi-structured interview, made it possible for us, for the researchers, for our partners to include other questions as well. So it was they were asked to adopt the interview guideline very flexibly. But all our partners were requested to include some basic questions about the motivation or the set of motivations for women to embark on a study program in STEAM, to understand or to explore influencing factors, encouraging and discouraging actors, parents, teachers, peers, and so on, educational experiences at all levels, challenges, difficulties, the very topic I am going to give you a hint about, the availability and women's access to research projects, to finance and funding for research projects, student activities, and opportunities for carrying out research abroad. Educational choices, labor market experience where it was the case, plans for the future, and also views and opinions. So as you can imagine, these were all interviews that lasted at least 1 hour, but in many cases even more. It is a quite huge task to analyze all these interviews, but we are doing our best. It's still a work in progress. And today I'm going to offer you, I don't know, a hint or provide you with an understanding of how these women students see and experience their difficulties. We have grouped these challenges into 7 categories. And I'm just going to say one sentence about each, and maybe if someone has a question, then we can discuss in more detail about them. So the most pressing challenge or difficulty or barrier they face is the lack of feeling of belonging or the too much of visibility. So whenever they are in a group in which they are a minority, this gives them an increased visibility. They repeatedly have to prove competence. Whenever they fail, it seems like women are failing, so their experience is made general to all the women out there. And this provides them with increased sentiment or a feeling of pressure, and it has also an impact on their mental health, which we will be talking about later on. The second one is sorry. Okay. The second one is the lack of supervision, the lack of mentoring, and the lack of role models. If there are any women in the staff, there is a very low probability that they are teaching a course subject. Women students feel that they do not really have access to real mentoring. They cannot approach professors, so they have this experience of being alone. The third one is pedagogy, preparedness, and practical exposure. They feel that teaching is unsupported, that lab access is very limited, hands-on lab access, and so on. The fourth one is gap in guidance and opaque pathways into STEM, which means that they are not really given advice on how to perceive, how to choose, why they are not supported in their choice to follow a STEAM career, and this is again another aspect of being or feeling left alone, feeling somehow isolated. The fifth group of challenges they experience is related to psychosocial load, well-being, and identity work, which means that they feel that they very often feel that it is too much of a work. The heavy workload leads to exhaustion, and the part of the identity work refers to, and it makes us come back to the first group, to the first group of challenges, referring to their difficulties in defining themselves as women studying STEM, which is a problematic category. They need to redefine themselves each day because they are a minority within their group. The sixth category, the sixth group of challenges, refers to access and mobility and structural constraints. It seems that they often complain of not really having access to research funding, to opportunities to travel abroad, to widen their perspective. And last but not least, cultural context and shifting gender ratios, or we might say the slow shifting gender ratios is the last category or group of challenges they face. Here we included isolation, prejudices, gender norms, which do not really coincide with their identity as women in STEAM. I am aware that I've already used all my time slots, so I'm perhaps not going to speak in very many details about conclusions and recommendations, but based on our empirical data, we came up with a set of recommendations dedicated to several levels of institutions. Departments and program leaders could improve the representation of women through providing them with mentoring and supervision, with very approachable professors, with increasing, which is very problematic, I know, increasing the share of women teachers and professors in universities. But other departments in universities, such as student success and well-being departments, also do have a playing field and a room for maneuver. They can provide career orientation, build peer networks, and provide mental health and well-being coaches. And last but not least, improving women's access to international opportunities, study abroad programs, and research funding could also make life a bit easier for women who have decided and whom we did not lose in the leaky pipeline and who still struggle to maintain their positions in the STEAM field. Thank you very much. Please share your thoughts about these results, and let's continue thinking together about what shall we do, what shall be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Rika. I admit this is really difficult to share huge research findings in a nutshell, but let me just add one more detail, because Jade was already talking about that the She Figures initiative is going to do steps for collecting data on gender-based violence. So I just would like to share that we didn't ask about it directly in our research. I was participated in the research as well. But we detected cases of sexual harassment and sexist environment as well. So this is there, this is still there, we all know it. And we even have stories describing these cases as well. And yes, and speaking of intersectionality, our next presentation is going to be on one of the specific fields. So we will see how women are connected with the digital sphere and the ICT. So I would like to give the floor to Martina or Liuba. So please, you can start your presentation.
Yeah, hello. We will do both. So we will switch from some slides to others. So hello, everyone. My name is 𝗬𝗲𝗁𝗲𝗿. I'm from Blue Specs company. I'm manager consultant. I'm telecommunication engineer with a background in infrastructures, telecommunication infrastructures, mobile. And for the last 2 years, I was more involved in policy making and policy implementation because I was advisory within the Secretariat in the Ministry of Technology Transformation here in the government of Spain. So yeah, I let Martina introduce herself.
Thanks, 𝗬𝗲. Very quickly, I'm a research manager in IDC, a research and consulting company specifically in the ICT and digital fields. And on the gender equality topic in innovation and digital, I participated last year to another initiative, which is Gendex, focusing more on the entrepreneurship side and the presence of women as founders and investors into the deep tech sector as well. 𝗬𝗲, we'll stop here since we are short on time, and I will hand over to you for the introduction of Connecting Women in Digital.
Yes. So Connecting Women in Digital is an initiative that came from the Digital Decade Program. With the main target is to employ 20 million ICT specialists, and with this goal, we align with the Women in Digital Declaration goals that assume the numbers that we have, that is the underrepresentation. Only 1 to 5 special ICT specialists are women, so we are around 19% of representation. So assuming both goals, the idea of our initiative is to develop a sustainable framework that will let women to advance in and to promote the representation of women in ICT. How do we do that? Okay, we have like our 3 main pillars that are the index, Women in Digital Index, the forum, and the summit. The Women in Digital Index is with the overview of the national initiatives by the member state that we have studied, is the quantitative data that we have deployed, and we will put the focus on today. The second and the third pillars, the forum and the summit, are our qualitative pillars to enrich the data with a network of expertise and a community of stakeholders that will bring us all the inputs about each phase that girls and women get through our pipeline. After this, we have each year we will publish an annual report that we will put together the quantitative based data on and the qualitative in order to inform recommendations for each member state. Yeah, we can move on. And in order to organize also the data that we collect and the recommendations that we will produce, we have developed, the leaky pipeline. It's not on us. It's a general idea that we try to focus on to really be more efficient when we collect the data and we produce. So the 4 phases we have that get through the whole journey of the girls and women through ICT is looking into the primary and secondary school, how the girls choose STEM fields and the behaviors there, then how they get into ICT careers. So here is very important. It's a difference of Women in Digital. We are not, our data is not STEM careers focused on, but ICT specifically. Then is how the women are employed. Also in the entry and in the middle, we see differences between the moment that they get into the workforce and the moment that they are going to roles of middle management. And then the last phase, that is we will say that the most difficult one to study, because there is almost no data. So it's and this is why the forum and the thematic working groups that we have organized within the forum are the most important input for understanding why there are no more women leading those ICT companies. Can move on. So our research stream, one moment, we are, I don't see the number of the slide. Oh, no. Okay. Okay, so our research stream is, as I explained, we have 3 main sources of data. So the forum, that we have already 200 members since the launching in June. So we are quite happy about it, and we will put these members with all the network, all the stakeholders that we have a connection with, together during the summit in November. That is let's say the hot moment that we are going to gather the maximum information about what's going on with the obstacles that we have already identified. Also, we have a repository of best practices. We insist that what we are looking for is really lessons learned, so we can put it really in the strategy. We can really develop strategies efficiently. And what we are looking into today is our index and how it's built on. The index is the data-driven tool developed that monitor the progression of women through the education, so through the pipeline across the 27 countries in Europe, with a selected benchmark countries to compare and to make an average of the performance of UE, the overall UE and each country. This index is not published yet. It will be in November, but for the moment we can show the key insights that we have obtained from 2 steps that are earlier and inform this index, that is the overview of existing women in digital national initiatives by member state, and the survey that us as a consortium we have developed, and that Martina is going to present now.
Thanks, 𝗬𝗲. So I'm conscious of time. I will be quite quick on the insights, and then we can just deep dive and jump in later in the Q&A session. Quick overview of our qualitative survey, the Women in Digital. Idea was to have qualitative insights on the women's participation, main challenges and retention across the EU member states in the ICT and digital field, and also to complement our secondary data research collection for the Women in Digital Index that will be published next month in November. As you can see, we had quite a big sample, so more than 4,000 respondents across the EU 27 member states. And we also have a double gender breakdown, so we have both women and men. This is only also for us to compare differences among challenges and career perspective, for instance. I will move on. If you have any question on the functional areas, industry segments, and characteristics of the industries and organizations we survey, I'm happy to come back, and you will also receive the slides later on. I think what's interesting in stats is that more than 60% of women agree that we still have societal gender norms continuing to affect women's involvement in the ICT field, which is nothing new, right? But if we look at the ICT education phase specifically, so from undergraduate to master's to PhD and IVET, What is interesting to highlight, I would like to anticipate you that we have seen stats and data saying that we have common educational pathways between the two genders, both women and men. So we have a majority of masters in our sample, a majority of people graduating specifically in ICT and computer science, and also they were encouraged to pursue STEM careers by their family and teachers. So this is similar to both women and men. But what's interesting to see is that we're looking at specifically challenges and barriers. As you can see, for women, the first one is gender stereotypes and societal norms. Then, of course, we have other elements such as access to technologies or access to finance at the same time. But again, experiences of gender bias and discrimination, gender stereotypes are high on women. And also, as you can see, the proportion of men highlighting no barriers is 8% higher than women. And all in all, as you can see, when rating their ICT education experience, you see women is lower than men. And if we look at the progressing into the pipeline, into the digital and leadership phases, and also careers perspective, challenges are still the same. So the first one for both genders are actually work-life balance, career advancements, but also skill development. So this is common for women and men. But then again, we see gender bias or discrimination. And then again, highlighting no challenges, men are more prone to say they have no challenges in their current ICT role than women. And in terms of perception, again, as you can see, slightly less than 50% of women state they need to work harder than their men colleagues to prove their skills. We don't know if it is actually true or not, but this is a perception that they have at their current workplace. And with a deep dive on gender-related discrimination specifically, this is a women's sample only. As you can see, we have, again, common traits with other research streams presented today. So first one is the pay disparity. And of course, this is common not only to ICT, but also to the job market overall. Then again, stereotype or bias against skills. This is common again to the STEAM research field. Unequal recognition, and also as you can see, this impacts directly the moving on into the ICT career over to leadership. So lack of career advancement opportunities, being overlooked for leadership roles, and also a promotion bias. And connected to how they are satisfied with the current work arrangement, and you can see completely and mostly satisfied. Again, we see a 10% gap between women and men. And connected to career progression, we talk a little. We also had some interesting insights before. Here specifically, we are focusing on breaks for their careers, and again, we see a difference between the two genders. So women usually take more career breaks than men, and as you can imagine, the first reason is for child rearing. And looking at how difficult it is for them to come back to their career after the break, again, we see a 10% gap in favor of men. So 58% of men said it was quite difficult because they're coming from illness or maybe educational purposes as well. But for women to come back from a break is really complex. And I would like to highlight also how this impacts their progression to leadership, because if we look at our respondents, only over 60% of them reported that women hold fewer than 1/4 of leadership position in their organization, not only in ICT, but also including other functions such as human resources or marketing as well. So you can see there are really hard times for women to progress into their careers, and not only in ICT. So we have also a problem connecting to the actually the enabling environment as well. And this is something we are going to highlight also in our Women in Digital Index. I would like to hand over the floor to 𝗬𝗲 again, but to end with a positive note. Actually, 62% of women would like to recommend a career in ICT to another woman, considering the very same career options. And this is why we think that policy recommendation and engagement are crucial to enable a much higher proportion of women taking this career, right, 𝗬𝗲𝗂?
Right. Yes. So one of the first things that we needed was to explore the state of art of the existing initiatives and the policies that the member states are already involved in or promoting. So for doing that, yeah, you can go to the next slide, please. Yes, for doing that, we have in June, we published our overview of the current landscape of initiative across Europe, considering in trying to identify what we say the Women in Digital initiatives. A Women in Digital initiative is defined as a program that visible online that invite girls and women to participate and benefit from a training, an event, mentorship. I mean, with an active role in really promoting the change into gender equality. To get in, we have identified 141 initiatives available in Europe. Some of them are so we organize by country scope, geographic scope, sorry, and the phase, I mean, the target audience that are linked with. So for the geographic distribution, we have 140 initiatives overall in the EU countries, other 70 initiatives globally available in Europe, and non-European initiatives that are 19 identified from regions outside Europe. If we see the key findings of this first study is that leadership initiatives remain the most underrepresented phase across all geographic regions. The majority of the initiatives we found are concentrated in ICT and digital phases, and only one initiative, that is European Center for Women in Technology, targets all the 4 phases simultaneously. An initiative could be, for example, 𝗬𝗏𝘁𝗲𝗏. Just so in the report we have a huge annex with all this initiative that is really a very nice database to look into the state of art of the situation. Yeah. So after that, we deep dive into the initiative by a national level, the number of initiatives that each country promote from as a policy or as a program within as a public policy. So in this sense, the key findings is that and we analyze also the United States for a bunch of benchmark countries, and in the United States, as you see, is in yellow, so they have comparatively more initiatives than countries in Europe. The most active countries we found are Germany or Great Britain, and also very close followed by countries as Italy, Spain, Lithuania, Romania, or Belgium. This doesn't mean that the other countries that are, for example, 40% of the data set, 11 countries without record, doesn't mean that they don't have policies. What we have to understand is that maybe these policies are not national, but are regional or in local at local levels. So we have also always to consider this point. Yeah. Then the other two sources of information we analyze is trying to understand the efforts that each country makes for promoting gender equality in ICT. What we did is to get directly the sources of the funds, the resilience funds and the cohesion funds, and see what is the proportion that each country assigned to gender equality policies. So this is the methodology behind is with web scraping, but also inputs that we got manually and all with the direct source of the site of the European Commission. So here, for example, for the Resilience Fund, we Italy received the largest share, followed by Spain, but in the proportion dedicated to gender equality is, as and the figure is Sweden, which has invested almost 20% of the Resilience Fund in gender equality. So we can move on, and we can discuss about country by country. So the cohesion funds, we did the same analysis, and here we have 3 maps that we show is country by country maps with the total amounts per country. In the map B is the amounts tagged to the gender equality intervention category, and in the C is the amounts of projects identified as women in digital. This you can move on to the next slide. So I explain this map C is because we have deployed, we as a consortium, but specifically Vilnius Technology Tech University has developed a machine learning model in order to, because the data set was huge, millions of records. So with filtering, with with wording and all the data set we got in order to identify the Women in Digital initiative that has been defined at the beginning, that is really programs that has a visibility in internet, targeting women and proposing active activities and active activities to be promoted. And the figure we see on the right is the proportion that we get for putting these 2 metrics together and getting and using the machine learning methodology. That is how much money and how many projects of the cohesion program has been assigned to women in digital initiatives. And this is what we have obtained. We see that Austria and Sweden are leading in this category, followed very near by Finland, Belgium, or France. And here is some key fundings. So for my part is nearly 30% of EU member states have no visible national level initiative. We with the index and with what we are doing now is to meet and get feedback from each country. So we really want to understand this figure. Other input is that the leadership-oriented initiatives remain the most underrepresented phase. So we see that there is a lack of organizations or programs really dedicated to empower women in leadership roles in ICT, and only 3.4% of the resilience facility funds are dedicated to gender equality. Also, we have observed that there is a disconnection between the public policies and let's say the private or the initiative organized by Women for STEM, like the private sector. That could be something on in order to be more efficient in accessing women, and help them to in their journey. I let you, Martina, to finish with the key findings.
No, very quick, because I know we are over. From the survey, I would just like to highlight how in ICT education, our women respondents demand for more scholarship, dedicated scholarship and grants, so more financial aid, but also career guidance and supporting skill workshops and training, specifically targeting women in ICT. Whereas for the digital and leadership, the three main areas where they would like more support are more related to actually policy making, and they are related to work-life balance challenges, gender pay gap, but also the persisting gender bias as well.
We wanted to finish just to get you involved, because the forum is completely open to all the experts in the material in the sector, and invited you to our summit that will be in Brussels, and the registration is still open. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It was also a lot what you have shared. And we have received a couple of questions. But before we turn to the questions, I'm just really happy to say that we have lost only 2 persons on the way. So people are here, and I think they are eager to hear your answers. So let's start with the questions we have in the Q&A, and then we will go to the chats. And if we answer the questions, because this is what I discussed with 𝗓𝗂𝗹𝗶𝘁𝗲, she might be ask questions from the from the 3 other key speakers as well, and I might have question to you as well. So let's see what questions are in the Q&A. So there was a question from Samuel, maybe, to Jade. So the question is, I want to ask if research and innovation research checked the situation with gender equality among poor or low socioeconomic groups of population in EU country members. So the situation with gender equality among poor and low socioeconomic groups.
Yes, thank you so much, Katarina. In the meantime, I answer, and I'm truly sorry because there were many questions at the same time, and I addressed my answer not to the right person. So thank you so much for this question. As I was saying in the chat, SheFigures really want to embody this intersectionality dimension. What we consider as intersectional is the fact to encompass how various aspects linked to identity and social background, age, socioeconomic status can influence and impact individual experiences. And as I was saying, with SheFigures 2024, we had developed, we had incorporated new indicators. Some are connected to gender equality and disabilities. Other encompass women having a migrant background. We also have indicators, as I was emphasizing during my presentation, I was making comments with career advancements and mobility. So we are checking to what extent PhD students can have this mobility, and all of that is to refer and try to capture this dimension, but it's true that it's not yet fully captured by the report, and we are really well aware of that, and also we want to continue pushing for more. So this is something that we welcome in the next edition of SheFigures. So this effort to really capture also the very important aspect that I hope I pronounced well, Shmuel proposed, and definitely I'm also very much looking forward to give you a bit of insight the way the SheFigures 2027, but also before was conceived and produced. It's through a tender. So we are calling for proposals, and it's in a specific tender framework. And in this description of the task, we really insisted on the intersectionality dimension, and we want the proposal to cover innovative aspects. So that's something that we are also on our side very much looking forward to see.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, I think we all know that intersectionality has an importance, especially that we can see, and it was quite like visible in or during our interview, is that there are different kind of segregation within the STEM education and career already. So this is one other reason why it is important to see the intersecting factors. So let me read the next question, which is, I think, for all of you. So thank you, Petra, for your question. So she's asking about research, that it is not only about the opportunity and context, but also that women do not use the same strategies as men to sell themselves. It is a possibility that women are modest and realistic about themselves, while men are likely to present themselves better than they are. In the selection processes, the attitude and the presentation would make a big difference. Also, women ask themselves, reading job descriptions, can I really do all this? Not be very certain and confident about themselves, where men might be overconfident. So, yeah. Who would like to answer this question? So when this is not about context, but so why women and men, this is basically why women and men behaving different and having different self-confidence about their knowledge, their career.
Maybe I can start, since I think it's related also to the insights provided by comparing women and men respondents. It's actually something that that I saw last year when I conducted qualitative interviews with women founders in technology, so founders of startups. And sometimes they told me that, yes, they see this component because I said they are more realistic, whereas like main founders, when they go asking money to investors, they are very, they overpromise. So that's an issue. Regarding specifically the ICT and digital field and connecting women in digital, I have to say that this is something we need to understand more together, again, with the forum and the thematic working groups we have, so more with the qualitative research as well, comparing what we discover from the quantitative results as well. So I think the main approach is to combine qualitative with quantitative research to have more highlights in there. Of course, we need also to understand that the responses provided by women may also be biased as well. So when we ask them, do you think to have a more modest or realistic approach to job roles? Well, it depends. This is something we need to better understand, because it's less statistical approach and more a sociological approach.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Do you mind if I?
Yes, sure. Please go ahead, Reka, and contribute
thank
also.
you for your question. Obviously, this aspect was not included in our study. But the reason it wasn't included because it's basically difficult to study, difficult to analyze, to grasp. What's reality? I mean, what's the adequate set of information one should give about themselves? What goes above and what goes beyond? So this is a risky approach, I would think. It has this side taste of blaming the victim. We must be really careful of not finding the reason for gender equality. We must take care of not identifying women as the reason of less of inequality, because it is very difficult to prove such thing. It's difficult to find an evidence that women are under-evaluating themselves while men are supra-evaluating themselves. That's one thing. So this is in all cases, this applies to all kinds of stereotypes. Stereotypes are difficult to prove. That's one thing. The other is that if we all agree that it is women who under-evaluate themselves, we assume that this is something that belongs to their personality. So we cannot change it. It just reinforces the inequality. Whereas I think that in many cases, at least in my research experience, for example, women researchers tend not to be very open to lead projects because they are aware that they have no support system in their families. So it is not a lack of confidence that they do not apply for a research project and a large amount of money. It's not in their personality. It's the fact that they are aware that it's too much of a risk to take upon a too big job because there is no family behind them to take care of their kids. So it's very difficult to identify what goes with personality and what is of social root. I personally think it's very difficult to prove such arguments. I really wouldn't go in that direction because there's plenty structural inequality and barrier to speak about. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So basically, we are doing a sociological research. Sorry if because I just so it's really difficult to answer this question. But we are not looking for the differences between the personalities. We are always looking for the why questions. So we might study. So we might explore that. So that there are differences, different strategies, for instance, just relying on the questions, but we're always looking for why women and men apply different strategies. And what I learned, just because Reka, you talked about that, maybe it's there is a really like a realistic reason for a women behaving like in this way and men behaving in that way, and it's very thin the line between saying on someone that's someone. So when someone is like behaving very confidently, there is a very thin line if it's a woman saying that she's behaving aggressively, or if it's in case of a man saying that, oh, well, he is really like a true leader. So it's very thin line, like, and it's not part of the sociological research. But thank you for the question and thank you for the answer, Reka. Jade, do you have something to add to this question?
Yes, I mean, on my side, I will just simply complement, not on the sociological aspect, but rather, but what we are trying to do in the commission when having the problem, like in front of us, what is it? And I just want to clarify that the aim was never to fix the girls, but to fix the system. And I think this is very important, and notably in the very beginning, Katalin mentioned the Union of Skills initiative, and in it there is this STEM education plan, and already in this STEM education plan you can see that the willingness to act on the issue regarding gender equality matters is really based on three aspects. We are talking about leading, lifting barriers, and level up. And that is really what the Commission at the moment want to embody when it comes to stepping up the game to address gender inequalities in the field. And I also would like to stress that in research and innovation, to make the link with the STEM education plan, our Commissioner 𝗂𝗲𝗍𝗲, is really committed to gender equality. And when she was defending her program, let's say her role as commissioner in the parliament last year at the hearing, she announced that she would like to commit to have an action plan on women in R&I. And I want to stress that projects like 𝗬𝗏𝗏, but also other that we are funding, and I can see some familiar name in the chat. So like 𝗬𝗏𝗏, like also AgriGap, all of these projects, they will be projects that we take the finding of to also beat the policy and the result. So we will always like consider evidence-based policies. And I want to say that yes, all of these findings, all of the surveys being gathered, information are key to us. And this is why we have this policy in one hand to fund projects, in the other hand to advance directly on the European research area. So I hope this can be a bit more insightful. And again, I see more question about my mistake to answer the question, but I hope that is not a problem and that everybody can have the benefit of the answer. So happy to answer more questions.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so I think we all see that these questions about the differences, they are very important, but we are more focusing within our project and within our researches that what the institutions and what the states on national level have to do. So let me continue with questions, Réka, you received. So there are two questions related to the challenges you presented. So I will read both of them so you can answer both of them in one time. So one says that one of the challenges you mentioned was psychological load, well-being, and identity work. Could you elaborate on the findings related to these challenges, perhaps some examples to share? And then the next question is about the challenge number 2, supervision, mentoring, role models. How does this challenge relate to the other challenges? Is it more, less prominent, impactful? Any details would be helpful. So you are asked to elaborate a bit more on 2 types of challenges.
Yes, thank you for both questions. Speaking just a short parenthesis, speaking of intersectionality, I'm an ethnic Hungarian living in Romania. I received 2 questions from the same person. In one, she closed her question with a Romanian thank you, and in the second one with a Hungarian thank you. So this is such a nice gesture as a symbol of recognizing someone's mother tongues and languages. I will link the two questions because they are interrelated. Both of them have asked me, both Anna and Miruna, to expand a bit on the 2 challenges. Miruna asked me to explain a bit what psychological load, well-being, and identity work meant. I made some notes because I received the 2 questions like half an hour ago. The workload means that, of course, this is not a fact. We haven't measured the workload. These are experiences and perceptions of women. There seems to be a lot of women experiencing too much of a workload. Some of them, drawing from our interview, say that just like Jade, I think it was Jade, maybe, I'm sorry if I'm mistaken, emphasized that women have to work double in order to prove their competence. So this is one thing that they need to put in more effort. So at least this is their perception. The second one is that if you're alone in a group of men, or there are just only 2 girls in a university study group, then there is hardly anyone to approach in case you need an explanation, in case you miss the course. So being alone, being a minority, having less of access to peer support gives you an experience or a sentiment of having to work too much in comparison to men. The other part of the same group of challenges refers to identity work. As a sociologist, I often have the experience, the empirical experience is that members of minority groups have ready narrative of who they are because their identity is being questioned. So you as a minority, you as a person of an LGBTQ, you as a woman studying STEAM, you often put in the position to defend yourself, to have a readily made up narrative of who you are. Why have you chosen something that is not feminine enough? So this is identity work. This is something that that in fact puts a pressure on you. It's an extra compared. This is like women who don't have kids. They often have to argument and to argue for that, to explain their choice. This is exactly the case of women in STEM. They have this demand on part of the society to explain themselves. This is identity work. This is what I meant by identity work. And Anna's question was related to supervision, mentoring, role models. Is really impactful, and I must say that in fact the separation of the 7 groups was a bit forced. I must recognize that. But this is what us analysts do. We try to build up groups, but all the 7 are very interlinked. And they are, I would say, all 7 are 7 phases of being isolated, of being alone, of not feeling welcome, not feeling as belonging to these groups. So the fact that they lack, they wish they would have a professor to approach to, is just an aspect of the feelings that someone as a minority group has. I don't know if that was understandable, because I'm struggling with trying to limit myself to as short time as possible. But this is work in progress, and we really mean to publish all these results in the upcoming month. And we will be happy to share these results in written form as well.
Exactly, and we have a research report which is going to be hopefully approved soon, and then we will publish it on the project website. And there was a question about the age of the students we interviewed, so I can answer this question. We had BA, MA, and PhD students we interviewed, only women, and the majority of them was MA students. Okay. And so this is really the end of the webinar, but we still have people here with us. So I think we have time for one more question. Reka, if you have a question to all the other key speakers, then this is the time to ask it.
Well, thank you very much. Obviously, this webinar would have been also not just about the findings in themselves, but their value, the way we use them, the way we manage to communicate them to policymakers. How successful are we? What are those results that are welcome, that are transformed into policy actions? What the barriers are? So I would ask Jade to reflect on the Commission's actions in terms of policy making.
Thank you, Reka. So I think I was mentioning some of them just earlier. So if there is any follow-up question afterward, I'm happy to answer. But as I was saying, the latest document having been published in the field is the Union of Skills with the STEM Education Plan. And on our side, we still have initiatives in particular related to research innovation. So for example, we try to act on several aspects that were being mentioned through the various presentations, such as mentoring. So for example, in the European Innovation Council, there is mentoring available for women innovators. Happy to share more links about this if it's something you might be interested in. Also, there is the Women Tech EU funding program, which has already supported over 150 deep tech companies, and that today has received the most application ever. Also, it's a program that is very successful, and this is also for us a priority to increase the support to that. And for example, we can see that between 2023 and 2024, there were a increased budget of 15 million to support Women Tech EU. So we also continue, when it comes to really innovation, to also adopt gender equality policies ourselves. So for example, in the EIC, you have like several, so the European Innovation Council, you have several ways to be funded. And one of the methodology used, for example, for the accelerator, it's to give a priority to women-led company. And this is done when there is case of 𝗂𝗂𝗃 also, and it's done also in case of pre-selecting for interviews. So it's really something that the European Commission is committed to and carried forward with the European funding programs. And I also would like to say that, for example, we also have, like as I was mentioning before, some European funding programs that also support, for example, to bring more knowledge on STEAM education, so like this one, but we also have projects that are directly working on another strength that we have in our policy, which are the gender equality plans. So what are gender equality plans? The fact that a university or a research organization adopt gender equality policies. And we are moving forward in Horizon Europe since 2 years, having an LGBT criterion on gender equality plans. And in particular, we support projects that are doing this implementation of gender equality plan. The innovation they can bring, and for example, just to give you another one, is that we have a project called Include, and they are supporting implementation of gender equality plan in biomedicine environments. So we are like also looking forward to have like like new field being covered also, and we know that there is specific challenge depending each field. So we have this approach. Again, like there is this action plan in the pipeline. We will tell you soon. Do not hesitate to register to our survey. It's not really self-promotion, it's rather because we are trying to find the best way to pass on messages and like gather all the information available. This newsletter is really for you. And in this newsletter, we will share more about like upcoming development for this action plan, including call for evidence, where we definitely hope to have expertise being brought in to nourish this plan. So please, when there will be this call, do not hesitate to spread the word, to participate, because I will personally be checking this. So I will be very happy to read more. And also like the last call I want to do is that I put it in the chat as well. Can you still hear me? Yes?
Yes.
I put it in the chat as well that you can become yourself an expert and also participate to your Horizon Europe funding by assessing proposal. And I don't know if you're aware, but for the work program 2025, we had a massive application in cluster 2. For example, we received 1,300 proposals, and we will need more experts definitely, and also for the course to come. So please bring your expertise. We definitely need you, and I hope this answer could also directly answer to your question, Rekha, but also complement a bit more. And if anyone has more questions, I will be happy to answer. But again, we also have the FMB, I mean the functional mailbox, sorry, if you need to have like a question that will come afterwards.
Thank you very much for your answer. I think it was really difficult to follow because you shared so many things coming in the pipeline, but we will share information how where people can subscribe for your newsletter, and we will also share all kind of initiatives, researchers, what was mentioned, and information of the project. So thank you for being here. Please fill in our evaluation survey, and I recommend to follow the 𝗬𝗏𝘁𝗏𝗏 project, the Connection in Digital, Connecting Women in Digital project, and the 𝗬𝗏𝘁𝗏𝗏 project. So thank you very much for being here with us, and we promise to send you a very informative follow-up email. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye.